But yeah, so I think it's important that you get a sewer line inspection when you buy a house. Monty, you've watched sewer line videos. Do you have that same reaction where you're like, this is kind of gross?
Yes. I've seen really nice sewer lines. I've seen really dirty sewer lines. And then I've seen sewer lines. Not existing sewer lines. That's true. That's a good point. But I mean, to Jason's point, I would keep in mind of like a sewer line being almost like a colonoscopy. That's what I try to prepare. I try to prepare people for, because like it's like that. Correct.
So you want to make sure things are passing through.
Correct.
And so anytime you buy a house, you just want to know the condition of the sewer line. A lot of times it's just a pass-fail. So it's almost like we talked about gutters earlier. It's like a gutter. You just want to make sure if it's too full or too packed in, then it's like it needs to be cleaned out. And you want to just make sure it's in good condition in light of its age. I mean, everything has a life cycle. So if it's a certain type of sewer line, it has a certain life cycle, and it's to be expected. The goal is to make sure that it's operational.
Correct.
Because what happens is, I've had this happen in my first house we lived in. It's like if you have a blockage, in the sewer line, then everything goes back and goes into your house. It's just, that's the type of stuff you just don't want. Yeah. So it goes up through the middle of your drain and things like that. You just want to be proactive in your sewer line to make sure it's insured. So speaking of life cycles, what type of sewer lines are there and that we see commonly here in Des Moines?
So there's 4 main kinds of sewer lines that we see here in Des Moines. There is Orangeburg, clay tile, cast iron, and PVC. Yep. But we'll start with clay tile. The lifespan would be like 50 to 60 years. It's resistant to chemical corrosion in respect to the other sewer lines we have.
The thing about clay tile when it was installed, a lot of it is like oversized. So it's like sometimes they're way bigger than other ones, like 6 inches. So I've seen clay tile be in great condition at 100+ year old. It just depends on insulation and tree roots. A lot of times they're like, I think it's like 3 feet, and then they're connected together. So it's not uncommon that you'll get tree roots or roots in there, just cleaned out, but the whole clay tile is still in great shape. And just because you have it at your house, that doesn't mean it's bad. Right. It means it could be totally great in live estate. Just make sure you get insurance on it. And what's nice about clay tile, and one of the pros too, is that you can replace a section. It's not a total tear out. So if there's a bad section, you can just replace the section versus doing a whole, the whole shebang on that. Yeah. So
let's hit Orangeburg next. So Orangeburg was really used during World War II when iron and steel were in high demand for the war. How long do those typically last?
Well, they start deteriorating after 30 years, but again, with all sewer lines, it really just depends on how it's put in and how it's maintained. But typically, these are the lifespan on these ones are the shortest.
And what are some pros and cons with?
Well, they're really light in terms of initial cost. It's pretty cheap to put in, but like I said, because it only lasts 30 to 50 years, depends how long you're staying there and like how. Just how things go, because if they break, then that's an expensive thing. But the initial cost is a little bit cheaper. It's easy to cut and shape into different sizes and whatever you need. What about some cons? What you got for cons?
Just because it's made out of like wood pulp and pitch, it does deteriorate faster.
And I think the big thing too about it is like when you have a bad section, like if it does cave in, like you have to replace the whole sewer line, with that. So that is a con, but very much your specific sewer line. And so just because you have it doesn't mean it's game over with. Because I've seen those last, what year is this? 20? I've seen it last, 75+ years, and it's still functional, it's still fine. You just gotta know what you have.
It's important to know that Orangeburg, the way they function is they start out here, and then over time they kind of collapse, and you do an oval shape, and then boom, it's over. Mm-hmm. So just a food for thought, adding to it. So if you guys do a sewer line inspection, you know what to expect in one as well.
Get that sewer line insurance. If it's functional, that's great. Get that sewer line insurance, and just love your house. So
yeah. So next we have cast iron, and so that was probably next before PVC. What was like the timeline of that, Jordan?
Well, so they started gaining popularity in the 18th, 19th century when urban areas started just getting more densely populated. And fun fact, actually, so it was big in London also. That's where it started really expanding. And actually, because of this, there was a lot of cholera expansions. If you don't know what cholera is, pretty much it's just getting your sewer line water getting into your drinking water, and so getting feces and stuff in your body, and you get incredibly dehydrated. And that's how you die. So fun fact. Fun fact.
Great.
I don't think that sounds very fun.
It's not fun. It's not fun, but it is a
It's an
fact.
interesting fact.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Colorado is not,
Hey,
probably
hey.
not fun.
Hey, Drake University.
Yes.
That's what I got. Cholera.
Yeah.
But yeah, they last a really long time.
great.
1,500 years. Again, it really depends on when it was put in, and then how it's maintained.
It was used for a long time, but during World War II, they needed an alternative because they're using everything for the wartime effort. So they stopped using iron for vehicles and weapons, things like that. So they used Orangeburg.
The main con that I found is that it's just super expensive because it's so labor intensive to put it in to the ground, and so that's the main con. But it does last a long time.
I always seen cast iron more like you said, Jason, earlier, pass or fail. I mean, the ones that I've seen have been like, is it really good or really bad? So, and that's basically it. And when I say really bad, I'm talking about like it's broken, and you got to go in there and just replace that guy anyway. So
For sure. That's good. So probably with how expensive it is probably lended to the reason why people start using PVC. So and that's the next sewer line. It's very common here in Des Moines.
PVC was
First, what does PVC stand for, Maddie?
Jordan, what is PVC?
I wanted to see if she got it down. Okay, so it stands for polyvinyl chloride.
Oh.
Yep, there you go.
Sounds pretty fancy.
Anywho,
Drake University.
Drake University, baby, what's up? Pretty much it was introduced in like 1970, 1980s type deal when technology started evolving and we can put chemicals in it, and it's really nice because it's really chemical resistant. So like a lot of stuff doesn't build up in there, so it's nice. It's lightweight, it's durable. Smooth, efficient interior flow, like I said before.
It has less joints, so
less joints, yeah, so
tree
less
skidding to cause that.
Some cons though is it does have thermal expansion, so with like hot and cold, like that could be a potential problem. It's vulnerable to impact damage, so like we've been saying throughout this, it's like when you install it, that will determine a lot for how it'll be for your lifespan.
Kind of tie this all together. So the importance of the sewer line inspection is just to really know what type you have, make sure it's functioning so you can get insurance on it. If there are any issues with it, it's important to negotiate that with the seller during that process, during the inspection. I've seen crazy stories before. I've seen sewer lines go underneath entire highways. Douglas, even though it's a 4-lane street, it can go like 35 to 40 in the Beaverdale area. It is considered a highway. So for that specific house, it costs over $40,000 to do a whole new sewer line. Does that mean it's a bad thing that the sewer line goes that way? No, but you just need to know as a homeowner of what you have, the condition, the age, things like that. And I think the next thing is to get insurance. So we encourage all of our buyers to do the sewer line inspection. The newer the home, it's more debatable if the homeowner wants to do it. We still put it in their court to decide if they want to do a sewer line inspection or not. So thank you for all that information.